Hello and welcome to Highlights. My name is Jim Strawn, host of the program. Highlights from the heart of our community is brought to you through a collaboration between Jim Strawn and Company, the Media Center, and HD Media. And if you're a regular viewer of our show, and we certainly trust that you are, you know how much we love to focus on those grassroots organizations, institutions, non-for-profit, charitable groups, and people that are just doing truly remarkable, outstanding work to make our great state of West Virginia and our Kanawha Valley and our city of Charleston a much better place to live, learn, work, and to play. And on today's Highlights program, we're going to feature an institution that is doing all of that and much, much more. We're going to focus on athletics as we catch up with a really good friend of mine, Dr. Bren Stevens. Dr. Stevens is the athletic director at the University of Charleston here in Charleston, West Virginia. They're coming off of a great year. I look forward to chatting with her about all the successes that they've had, and we're going to look toward the future as well. So lots of good insight, lots of good information coming your way, lots of good energy coming your way. So sit back and relax and soak it all in. As I turn to my right, I welcome into the program my good friend, Dr. Bren Stevens. Bren, how are you?
Good, thanks, Jim. I'm
good to see you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on the show with you.
You should be excited. You're just coming off of a spectacular season, year, if you will, coming out of COVID 2021, ended up with 2022, and we're going to recap the year. But I want the audience to know, maybe if they don't know who you are, let's talk a little bit about your journey, where you've come from, you know, where you grew up, where you went to high school, and how did you end up in Charleston, West Virginia, at the University of Charleston. Start from your high school days.
Yeah, so I grew up in Massachusetts, went to Attleboro High School in Massachusetts. It's about 45 minutes south of Boston. But my dad is from West Virginia and grew up just outside of Beckley, and then his family later moved to Milton, West Virginia.
So you had some ties and you heard of West Virginia growing up.
I did, and so I was recruited for volleyball from both Marshall University and it was Morris Harvey College at the time. And
telling your age there a little bit, aren't you?
It is, I am.
Mo Harv.
For sure. And but in the end, I chose Morris Harvey. I loved my coach, and I was really glad that I came here.
So you obviously that was late 70s or into the early 80s, and
Yep.
you played volleyball, and you graduated from Morris Harvey College, right?
Right.
What happened? Where did you go after that?
Yeah, so I went back home to Boston
Yeah, I
after
thought you
that,
did,
and taught school. I taught in 2 Catholic elementary schools, and loved my experience there. But still had a lot of friends down here from where I was here for my undergraduate.
Did you get a call?
And
Or did you look?
to come back?
Yeah, to come back.
Yeah, I did actually. I did my student teaching under Chris Kopelman. She was up at Oakwood Elementary School, and she called me and she says, I think you can come back here and get a job. So I was able to get a position at Tisquire Elementary and Glenwood, and then later taught at Valley Grove and Mary Ingalls. So I have a lot of youngins running around out there in the community today.
I know all those schools very well. We may have a little bit in common. I actually have taught in every elementary school in Kanawha County.
Have you really?
Yeah, the 83, 84, just out of college myself, and I was considered a super sub, so I literally have taught in every elementary school in Kanawha County. And one of the hats I'm very proud of, by the way, because we're both educators.
Right.
But then were you the volleyball coach at University of Charleston?
Yeah, so then I had the opportunity to come there in 1992 as the volleyball coach, coached for almost 20 years, 19 years, and later, along the way, I was serving as the senior woman administrator, assistant AD, associate AD, and then, unfortunately, Tom Nazika passed away, and I moved into his role. Still miss him today, and I try to do my best to lead a good program.
So how many years now does that make you as our athletic director at the University of Charleston?
Yeah, just wrapping up number 10.
So you have a decade under your
yeah,
belt.
Yes, I do.
What a great ride you've had.
Yes.
Let's talk about the past year. Well, let's go back before the past year, because I'm close to the athletic department, and of course I appreciate the opportunity. I get to be the public address announcer. It's an honor for me. All the women's games and all the men's games, so I'm around it. So I know what the answer to this is. But I want you to talk to the audience about how the University of Charleston navigated through that COVID era, in 2020 and even into 2021. And I was telling you off air, I think the University of Charleston, led by Dr. Marty Roth, and then also led by you in the athletics, we navigated that transformative time as well as anyone in the world. I think. I mean, I'm also an adjunct professor there. But talk about getting through that and how we did it so well, and what do you think, and why do you think we did it so well, Bren?
Yeah, I think, Marty's decision, to mandate the vaccine, we did have some exemptions, for medical reasons, but his, ability to mandate that vaccine for us being a private university, we were able to do that. And so just amongst our student athletes, we're at a 98% vaccination rate. So we were able to compete. We were able to still go out and practice and be together. We were wearing masks much of the time. However, I think it allowed our students to be able to be in class, and they were hungry to come back. We sent them home in March of 2020 for, a few months because of COVID. And so when we brought them back in the fall, it was just great to, campus, as you've been over there in the summertime, we miss, when our students aren't there. So having the opportunity to get them back was great.
I don't know what we did, but when I came back in the fall, I didn't see a staff member. I don't know if whether you were in janitorial, or if you were a cook, if you were the president, if you were a coach, or a student athlete. I never saw one person without a mask on above their nose and over their mouth. Ever. I don't know this for a fact, but it felt like a one-strike rule. You couldn't do it or you were gone.
Yeah.
So we did a nice job of mandating and just policing it and behaviorally conditioned people. This is just the way it is right now.
Yeah, and the students, we would say to them, do you want to play? If you want to play, you're going to have to wear the mask, and that's the only way we're going to get there where we can keep everybody safe. And we canceled very few activities along the way because of COVID. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what we've done, and the president and the cabinet, their leadership. It was great.
So we came out of that really well. We opened up, I guess, last fall with a new season, if you will, a new school season, academic year, fall of 2021. Usually in the fall we have football. We had a pretty good year down at UC Stadium at Laidley Field there. Really good year. We ended up at 8-2, I do believe. I'm looking at some notes here. Third in the MEC. Just shy of the playoffs. We were so close, but we had some great accolades. The GPA from the whole football team was very well received, about a 2.8, almost a B average. But we had some players drafted. That's pretty big. We're starting to have some University of Charleston football players drafted, Brent.
That's just like incredible. It
and
is.
playing.
And when
in
you
the NFL.
you can turn on TV on a Sunday and see them playing at that level, and knowing that they came from a small Division II institution with 2,900 students. That's pretty amazing. But it says that the scouts will find you. If you're good enough, the scouts are going to find you, whether you're at a D2 or a D1.
I think the football coach,
Pat Kirkland,
and now
Quinn.
Pat has left, and now we have
Quinn Sanders.
Quinn Sanders. But yeah, all the coaches know, and they probably tell the players, "Hey, if you're pretty good, scouts are pretty good at finding you. If you're pretty good, right?"
Right, absolutely.
So we had what was his last name? Tariq McAllister.
Yep, Tariq.
He got drafted by the Denver Broncos this year, and I know you just did a big event there on the University of Charleston's campus, and you had a fundraiser, and you kind of focused on some athletics, and we had some of the greatest soccer coaches in America all together, all three of them. They all have a UC bond, right?
Right there on the stage together.
And I know you presented some of this stuff, but one of the things that came out after your PowerPoint presentation to the audience the other night was my good friend Guy. Guy Myers got drafted by the USFL. So he's a member of the New Jersey Generals now, so I'm keeping an eye on Guy, and I know you are as well. Isn't that neat, though?
It is, and I'm happy for him because, as you know, he has it all going on. He's smart. He's just a great human being in addition to being a good football player.
So one of your favorites, you love volleyball. You have to love volleyball, right?
I
you coached it forever.
I do.
So let's talk about the women's volleyball. That's a fall sport for college. So you guys had a great GPA. Gosh, look at that, 3.25 overall, third in the MEC. Just you're growing that. It's going well. The girls love to play. The ladies love to play. Talk about your coach and talk about that program a little bit.
Yeah, so Tyler Canellis just started with us this past year, so this was his first season. He came from Marshall. He was assistant at Marshall, and I thought, he really has the program going in the right direction, and he's bringing in some more of his own recruits. So I'm looking forward to see what he's going to really be able to do.
This just in, your men's soccer program, doing okay.
Yeah, they're doing okay. They're doing okay.
Number 2 last year. They have a couple nationals under their belt. They were in the national title game last year. mean, we're just kind of really dominating the MEC with some heat a little bit from Wesleyan and AB and some others, but we always seem to find our way. You've had transition at the coaching staff, but you're just reloading. How proud of you of that soccer program?
Yeah, I can tell you when we go to NCAA events, they know us.
They know you. They know who you are.
Yeah, no matter where it's played in the country, they know about the University of Charleston men's soccer. And Dan Smee, our new coach, has done a great job. And when you think about it, he had to navigate COVID. He had to navigate all the transfer portal, things that we're dealing with today. And yet he was still able to get them in the championship title game.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Remarkable. And you mentioned it, a really neat point is that wherever we go in the nation, there's University of Charleston.
Right.
What does that mean to the University of Charleston? What does that mean to Charlestonians? What does that mean to Kanawha Valleyans? What does that mean to the institution of UC? That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool recruiting tool. It puts us on the map, right?
Right. I mean, I've had folks from the NCAA joke with me, and they go, "Brent, are you guys coming every year?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
"That's hard to get there."
Yeah,
and then we're there
hard.
every year.
Yeah, it's hard to get there, and so yeah, I couldn't be prouder.
And talk a little about the women's soccer program. Who's our coach there?
Yeah, Todd Duguid. Todd serves as my senior associate AD as well as our women's soccer coach, and they were 13-3 in the MEC and had a great year. Went to number 4 seed in the Atlantic Regional. So just a banner year for him as well.
Talk a little bit about. We'll hit all these sports, but talk about how the University of Charleston recruits these student athletes. We seem to have quite a high percentage of students. Our student athletes at the University of Charleston. We get student athletes from seemingly all over the world. We're very international.
We are.
Talk about that approach, and I think it starts at the top, and then the coaches you guys get folks from all the continents.
Yeah, I mean, we globally have people from all over the place, and our athletes, these international athletes, they make up about 20% of the total number of athletes that we have at UC. We have 600 student athletes, 20 sports, and so I think they bring a lot of flavor, and I think they not only enhance the University of Charleston, but as you were talking about, Jim, is they're out in the community. They come to the restaurants. People know them. They work with our youth soccer and other, sports, so I think they make a big difference.
Well, it's really fun for me. At University of Charleston is one of our long-standing supporters for the Live on the Levee, and we're going to start that back up again here, May 27th, Memorial Day weekend. It'll run through September, and we'll have a big UC night. But a lot of those student athletes, a lot of those students come down for Live on the Levee. They have a great time. Again, they're from all over the world. I just have a blast. And I'm honored to teach here as an adjunct professor. And one of the things that I notice is these students learn from each other in different cultures. So you don't just learn in the classroom, you're learning in the dorm room, you're learning on the gridiron, you're learning on the courts, and you're just learning from breaking bread with them in the dining hall. You learn so much from other students from different cultures. I love that about that.
Yeah, and I think our diversity, that's what really sets us apart, especially as a small school. Our mix, our diversity is unbelievable. And what, is more important in my mind than diversity is creating that sense of belonging, right? Yeah. You can have diversity, but you got to make sure everyone feels like they're part of that community, that they belong, and they do.
I think the University of Charleston does a good job bringing that to the table with the student athletes.
Yep.
I mean, there is a belongment over there. There is a sense of community within the community over there. So let's talk about the success of the men's cross-country team. I was a cross-country runner, so I love Coach Bias. I know what he's doing. I mean, now they're in the top 20, 25 in the nation now, right? I mean, a couple years ago, that maybe wasn't the case. They've really grown that program.
Yeah, he finished 14th overall at the Nationals. I had the opportunity to go to Tampa and travel with the team.
Where was the Nationals?
Tampa, yeah, at the Nationals with him. And he's so well respected. When he walks on the course, people know him. And, you think about him being from, Charleston, West Virginia, and just what he's done for running, I think is unprecedented.
And he does the same thing. I mean, he coaches the women's too, right?
Yep.
And I think they haven't kind of practiced together, it seems like.
Yeah. And he does a great job pulling them together. I asked him about 8 years. I guess he's been with us 8 years. I asked him probably 3-4 years ago to take over women's cross country, and he's doing a great job. And they too qualified for nationals. Just like
the cross country, you have one coach for the men and women in golf. My boy Will Johnson. Who doesn't love Will?
Everybody
loves Will, right?
Everybody loves Will.
So he's having a pretty good run here the past 2 or 3 years.
He does, and he's just incredible. And he's so much fun to work with. He's just fun to work with, and everybody knows him. But the men went to Detroit, Michigan about a week ago and played in the Nationals.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I follow that, and just a great run with the women as well. Let's talk a little bit. I'm not familiar with this Lear Learfield. Is that is that a national?
Yeah, so
it's
that's-
Learfield Director Cup.
Yeah, so it's the Learfield Directors Cup, and
Okay.
so it's based only on, where you go postseason, and you get points based on how far each team of yours advances. When I took over as the AD, we were 211th place
200?
out of 308 schools. In the fall, we were in sixth place.
Yeah, sixth place, top 10.
Yeah, and
And is there some kind of cup with our conference, the Mountain East Conference?
Yeah.
We typically do really well with that, like
Right.
win that, right?
right, so yeah, I think we have won that quite a few times.
But now, so the bar is now national for us,
Yes,
right?
that is true.
You're being humble, Brent.
Yeah.
We got the MEC thing down.
Yeah.
I'm bragging on us too. We're just doing so great. The student athletes are great. The culture is unbelievable, and we're just reloading. And your coaches. I mean, I know you're proud of
Yep.
those. You recruit the coaches, right?
Right.
And you got to be proud of your coaching staff,
I
all
am.
of them.
I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just incredible people, and what they do, just amazing.
The women's basketball, we had a really good coach, one of the best coaches in America. She gets another position. She's moving up. She's moving over. You reload with the next player that we knew really well from just 10 years ago.
Right.
So Coach Kelly comes in, and look at him now, the women's basketball team.
Yeah, and I know you're at all the basketball games.
I haven't missed one.
So is she not a class act?
I love her.
Yeah.
She is really classy and just bringing that team along. And I'm going to say this, Glenville State, congratulations to Glenville State.
Absolutely.
National champion.
Absolutely.
They had one blemish on their record last year. Coach
Yeah.
Kelly and our UC women got them in the finals
Yep.
at the tournament.
At the MEC tournament, and Kim Stevens has done a great job.
We love her too, don't
Jesse
we?
Skiles, their AD,
So
is
good.
tremendous man. So yeah, it was really.
That's good for West Virginia. It was good for our league and
It is.
good for our community.
And I love that the mayor and people here celebrated that.
I went down for that. It
Did
was
you go?
very nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Coach Stevens was, I think, pleasantly pleased with the excitement of that day. We did it at Riverfront Park where we have the levees. And what Mayor Goodwin did, I thought, was so brilliant. She invited all the girls' teams from the Charleston and Kanawha Valley area
So
to
important.
be there to see those girls who were the national champs
Yep.
from Glenville State University, new university. I called it college earlier, but they are a new university.
Yep.
But yeah, we're thrilled for the future and Coach Kelly and the women's basketball. And then one of my better buddies, Coach Dwayne Osborne. I know you love him as well. Been with us for a few years now, but just leads our men's basketball team. And we talked earlier. We got through the COVID shortened year. Some of the players got to come back, and it was great having Lamont there. It felt like he was there for a decade, but he ended up being there about 6 years. It was kind of a standing joke in the MEC. When is Lamont going to?
Yeah, you can't miss him,
Is he
right?
going to graduate? But Lamont and Keith and the whole team had another great year. Finished third. Thought they probably should have played in some post-tournament. We didn't quite get the nod, but Dwayne's just ready to reload again this year, isn't he?
Yes, and he does more than just coach his basketball, right? I mean, he's just a great leader, great mentor to those guys, and they love him.
Yeah.
The guys love him.
They would run through a brick wall
Yeah,
for him.
absolutely.
And then the men's volleyball, that's different season than the women, right?
Right, yeah, they play in the spring,
Yeah.
and so our coach, Luke Reynolds, fantastic guy, and from Australia, and so he played on the professional circuit, and our guys really enjoy working with him.
So one thing about the volleyball that I've noticed, it's not D2. Most of our competition
Right.
is in the D2, but we play D1 schools in volleyball?
Right, yeah, that's correct. So we play Division I, and we're in the EIVA
These big dogs come in. Penn
conference.
State comes in.
We have Penn State. Yeah, we've had Ohio State on campus, George Mason, Harvard, Princeton.
So let's talk about that a little bit. When we have a Penn State and Ohio State and some other good programs come in to play our football team, how cool is that for Charlestonians and the Kanawha Valleyans to come out and support our very own? It's your university. That's
Right.
what I call it. It's your university. It's your hometown university.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat for you?
Yeah, I
to
think
see-
the largest crowd that we've ever had was actually at a men's volleyball game, and that was when Ohio State came to campus and played us. And so it was just an incredible night, and having them on campus, and they gave us a lot of kudos back. They were like, "Man, your fans are great, and we just love coming to Charleston."
And
so,
it was mostly folks from Kanawha Valley, Charleston, just coming to see
Absolutely.
some good student athletes compete.
Yep.
And it's good volleyball.
Yeah, it is very good
it's
volleyball.
top-notch volleyball. I don't get out very much, but I love the game of lacrosse. I coached it and played it a little bit when I was in college, so I love the game. It's growing, especially around the Mountain State in high school for the girls. And it's a girls sport. Talk about your lacrosse program. They seem to be doing really well. Haven't caught a lot of games, but we're playing down at the new Welch Athletic Complex, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But talk about your lacrosse program.
Yeah, so just hired a new coach, Melanie Rosati. And you might recognize the name Rosati because her cousin is the U.S. Women's National Basketball coach.
I do know that name.
Jennifer. And,
Yes.
And so she comes from good coaching blood. So she is coaching on the lacrosse team, and I look forward to seeing what she's going to accomplish over time. But it is an up-and-coming sport, and people are playing it more here in West Virginia, and our commissioner's daughter plays lacrosse. So I'm anxious to see where this all leads.
I actually serve on the board for the Mountain State Lacrosse Association, and it's club for high school girls.
Great.
So I'm learning a little bit about some of these really great girls all across the state of West Virginia, and how we're recruiting them and how they're coming. But lacrosse is taking off, and what a fun sport. And I mentioned they play at the Welch Athletic Complex. I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about what that means to you personally, what that means to our student athletes, and what that means to some of the past student athletes who didn't get a chance to play on that field, and the ones that are playing on it now. How great is the fact that we have the Welch Athletic Complex, and talk about the sports that play there.
Yeah, the facility is outstanding, and nothing made me happier after working with Dr. Welch for being with him for 26 years to see something named after him. And so people made donations because of him to that project. So yeah, we're able to play our baseball games there. Both men's and women's soccer play there, and women's lacrosse plays there. So, and their locker rooms are down there, and it's just a fantastic facility.
It's an awesome facility, and it's right along McCorkle Avenue. Folks, if you drive by there, I mean, you can't miss it. The baseball team just got done playing there, and like she said, we play some soccer there in the fall, but it's great, and we certainly appreciate Dr. Welch and his leadership for that over the years, and I want to thank the Elliots. I think they made a nice contribution toward that, and the Corporation of Segra, so we want to thank them for that.
And speaking of the Elliots, I just want to jump in real quick,
John and
Jim.
Fonda, yeah.
Yeah, they're going in the Hall of Fame in
Nice.
September.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for meritorious service. So
They deserve it.
I love them,
They
and
deserve it.
it was unanimous amongst our committee. They were like, we have to induct them. So yeah, they'll be going in on September 23rd.
Congratulations, John. Congratulations, Fonda. We're having a great conversation with the athletic director from the University of Charleston, Dr. Bren Stevens. We'll kind of recap in the year, and then I'm going to talk with her a little bit about the future. But there may be some questions that we don't get to or I don't ask Dr. Stevens. Simply go to the website, ucwb.edu. You can click on athletics. You can also click on academics and click on lots of other things to see all the fantastic things that are going on at the University of Charleston. We're just focusing on athletics today, but boy, oh boy, Dr. Roth he's got that place hopping and popping and moving and grooving, and we love the University of Charleston and what they mean to our Kanawha Valley and our state of West Virginia. UCWB.
Jimmy, he brings the energy just like you do.
We have energy.
you guys
got
that in common.
I love Marty. That's
Yep,
great.
that's
Track
great.
and field. I was a track and field guy too. Nick, Coach Bias does the track and field as well.
Right.
Cross country and track and field.
And indoor track. So,
Okay.
so Nick is what we call a 6-time winner. So he had a double, triple crown. So he won, men's and women's cross country, men's and women's indoor track, and men's and women's outdoor track, all in the same year. I don't know if that's ever been done in the history of the MEC and WVIAC. So congrats to him on that.
We're just dominating in athletics. And then I want to say this. All the athletics and all the student athletes, they're actually excelling in the classroom. They're so
do very
sharp.
well. Yep.
They're so sharp. You have to be probably the most proud of that. I mean,
Yep.
yes, they're really good, but oh my gosh, look how smart you are.
Believe me, that's an important part of each coach's
Yeah.
evaluation process. So,
Yeah.
we want to do well on the field, but we want our student athletes to graduate. And we want them to, go out in the world and make their mark. And, they have to be good students to be able to do that.
Years ago, when I was a teenager, and I'd go to Watt-Powell Park to watch the Charleston Charlies play, and we would launch home runs into left field, and it was just a blast for me. And then I would play some church league softball on that Watt-Powell Annex field, and now that's the home of the University of Charleston's the softball team,
Right.
the softball program. It's nice as well. So talk about your softball program. You got a nice place to play now, right there. I call it left field. It used to be left field. It was where the cancer center is now.
Right.
People, if you're watching this for the first time, like, what's he talking about?
Right.
It's where the cancer center is now, and right in behind there is the softball field. I still call it Watt-Powell Annex. I don't think it's called that anymore. It's the UC softball complex, right?
Yeah, softball complex, and I would say just hired a brand new coach. This year was her first year. We got her in November from Rollins College in Orlando. Did a great job for us. But something that I do want to say a big thanks to the mayor and city council, because they're going to turf that space for us over there. So it looks great right now, but I mean, it definitely needs some improvement. We put the turf down about 12 years, so getting part of those dollars to be able to do that, the city giving back to for us to be able to use that is just
Well,
incredible.
I'm glad you mentioned that. University of Charleston collaborates with Kanawha County Commission, Kanawha County Schools,
Yep.
the City of Charleston. You need all that. You need all these players
yeah.
to make it work.
We couldn't do it without them,
Yeah.
and then we're, on the other hand, happy to help them. So if they want to host a softball tournament and they need our help in facilitating that, the operations of it, that's where my team and staff come in, and we're like, hey, bring these teams to Charleston, stay in the hotels. We're willing to help.
You just mentioned baseball, one of the sports, one of the teams that plays at the Welch Athletic Complex. Been playing there 2 or 3 years now. We have a new coach, been there a year or so, Coach Britt.
Coach Robbie Britt, yeah.
Britt. And Robbie's been on this program before. When he first got here, we introduced him to the audience, but he's coming off a year. I think it might have surprised him. I don't think it surprised the team, but they won the MEC tournament, correct?
Correct, yep.
And then they went on to the regional play.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the regional play and how proud of you are of
Yeah,
them in the regional play.
Yeah, they were the number 7 seed. I don't think anyone was expecting them to do as much as they did. They ended up playing in the championship game, and they came up a little bit short there, but they won the game before that to force really 2
They lost their
championship
first game
games.
at the regionals and had to come all the way back through because it's a
Yeah,
double
exactly.
elimination.
Yep.
So was it Miller? Who did they play? Millers?
They played Millersville.
And so Millersville, we played them in the first game of loser goes home, and we won.
Yep.
Then we had to force the second game, and they just
Yep.
maybe ran out of gas. I think lost 6-3, but so proud. A season that we didn't expect to be that far, and there we are playing to go to the big dance.
Well, his overall record was 40-18. So getting 40 wins, I don't know the last time you see that
You don't
in
call that
baseball.
successful.
I'm gonna
call that success.
I did his evaluation yesterday, and I said 40 wins, pretty good.
You're going to be okay, Coach
I'm
Britt.
okay with that.
And we had a good young team. I know you mentioned to me off air, Colt Webb. I don't know what year he is. Is he a young guy?
Yeah, he's a younger guy.
Younger
Yep,
guy.
yep.
And just had a no hitter and just had a great season for UC as did the whole team. And Coach Britt, he'll reload again next year. Oh, I thought that was the last sport. Let's talk a little bit about tennis, and then we'll wrap it up, Brent.
Yeah, men's tennis with Matt Santon. He's going to be wrapping up his time with us. He's been our head coach for 16 years. Incredible job. Went to the Nationals down in Orlando, and I had the opportunity to travel with them. And women's tennis, great year. They won the MEC tournament, but didn't advance to the playoffs. But they are doing quite well, and that coach is Alec Foote.
So we put the 2021, 2022 season. It is completely in bed now. We've locked that one
done,
down.
yes.
We're done. So we're moving on. So yes, school will start in August, and the fall sports will pick back up. But what does it look like on campus? What does it look like in your staff? What do some of the coaches do during the summer? And some coaches are recruiting. Are some doing camps? What happens in the summer? I know it's 12 months. It's all the time. What's happening this summer?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that 12 months, Jim,
Yeah.
because people don't realize that they work really hard in the
All the
summer.
time.
Even though they're not in season, they are recruiting. That's a big part of what they do. They're working on not just the class that's finishing up the class that's coming in the fall, but they're working on, the 23s and the 24s, coming up. But they also do a lot of camps and clinics, and they use those camps as an opportunity to help recruit. So, they watch some of these young people come up through their camps, and then hopefully one day they end up being a Golden Eagle.
And sometimes they may not even maybe necessarily come and play sports, but they're exposed to the University of Charleston and maybe just come for academics. I mean, it's just a great venue over there. It's beautiful. It sits on the banks of the Great Canal right across from that Golden Dome, and we finally have the Golden Dome to look at again.
Yes, that's nice.
And this is just a wonderful setting. You love being there, right?
I do. I've had many opportunities over the years to leave. I do a lot of work with the NCAA, but UC is
Because you
home.
have some high-level roles with the NC2A, right?
Right,
In
yeah.
athletics.
Yeah, I've served on the management council, and right now I'm the president of all the ADs in Division II.
And so you get to travel and see,
Yep.
but how proud are you when you go and they all know there's Dr. Stevens. She's got one of the best programs in America.
I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, and so
takes
a team.
Let's end with what's the 2022-23 seasons look like for you? I mean, are you just reloading like I said earlier, or you look for some big things to happen this fall and next spring?
Yeah, well, we still have some new coaches in place, so I'm not sure how those are always going to pan out, but I'm excited, and I love the energy that they bring, and so our goal is to just do well, like we talked about in the classroom, and do well on the field or the court, and just and be part of the community. I think the big Labor of Love event that we do.
Yes.
In addition to the entire university being out doing that, we have our 600 athletes that they're all out doing community service, and they do many other community service projects throughout the year.
I know they do, and I love that labor of love concept. That is great. I think that was Dr. Roth, and I love
That's
love
Dr.
that.
Roth's baby.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm going to applaud you publicly. Great job the
Thank
last
you.
10 years. Great job with everything that you do. I love being a part
I
of
love
the
your
UC
friendship. It means a lot
family.
to me.
And best of luck throughout the rest of the summer and into the fall.
Thanks, Jim.
Dr. Brent Stevens, right there she is. Dr. Stevens, you can get a hold of her by going to the website, ucwv.edu. I'm sure there's some questions you may have for her. Reach out to her. She'd be happy to talk with you about some things if we didn't get to them today. And that's all the time we have on this edition of Highlights from the Heart of Our Community, as always brought to you through a collaboration between Jim Strawn and Company, the Media Center, and HD Media. We'll see you in and around UC, and we'll see you next time right here on Highlights. You take care now.
Thank you.